Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push. Yo, hello everybody. Welcome to Knowledge is Currency. I'm Senator Porter, and this is
Roosevelt Williams III.
And we have a special guest all the way from Brooklyn, New York, Lance Grove.
It was good.
How you doing, Lance?
Good, man. Real good.
Good. So how does a man get from St. Lucia, Connecticut, San Diego to Brooklyn?
Damn, you brought out all 4 points. Like, dang, that's a lot. First, of course, I'm St. Lucian. I was born there, left when I was 7, and it was just simple. You know, it's a small island, 25 miles long. My mom made like $50 a month. And I didn't, like, it never really registered to me, and I went back when I was like 14, and then she was like, hey, this is where I used to work. I was like, here? And it's like this old warehouse with a tin roof, and you go in and I'm like, sewing machines. I'm like, Mom, it's a sweatshop. He's like, yeah, this is it. So I had to get the fuck out of here.
Right.
So, my mom, she immigrated up, worked on strawberry farms, to feed Mexicans toiletries, because the strawberry farms were so remote. It wasn't around like any corner store, and she was just going to sell them stuff and raise enough money and got us, some tickets to fly out there. First we landed in New York, and then we went to Connecticut. And in Connecticut, did the whole high school, middle school, all that stuff. Became a state champion boxer there. Right. And then I met my mentor, Abdul Muhammad, who he paid for me to go to college. He was like, yo, apply to college, I'll pay for it. I was like, all right. And I applied to his alma mater in Mississippi, got in there, ran through that degree. And then, the school's called Tougaloo, and they the number 4 producer of black attorneys. So they literally conditioned me. They're like, after this, you have to be an attorney. I was like, I was just,
going to free college.
I don't know, you're gonna do something else. But then I applied to law school, and I was gonna go to Roger Williams up in Rhode Island because it's close and all that stuff. But I visited California for like 4th of July sometime, and the memory just popped up of seeing Thomas Jefferson School of Law in my head. And when I got into Roger Williams, but right before I sent my acceptance letter, like a ridiculous snowstorm hit.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not doing this. And I applied to Thomas Jefferson, and I flew out here, and that was it.
Weather made a change.
It changed my damn life.
So then you get to San Diego. You go to school here, correct?
Yeah, so, came here, went to Thomas Jefferson School of Law, focused in tax and real estate law. Okay. That led me to my field that I'm in now, 1031 exchanges. I was working for a company, got really good at it. They're like, yo, go out and teach this stuff. I was like, all right, started teaching it. Some major company from San Francisco saw me, flew me up there, wanted me to open the 1031 exchange branch for them. I did. Within like a year, I became like number 2 in the nation. So, me being young and arrogant, I'm like, yo, I'm crushing it. Make me an owner.
And they're like, no.
They're like, nah, bro. You like the youngest in the entire company, and you only been here 2 years. I was like, oh, word? So sat silent for like 6 months. In those 6 months, I literally saved up all my money, bought my domain name, built a website, developed every single contract, and I just handed in my resignation and then started my company, Growth 1031. And, in the past 4 years, we've grown so much so where like my previous company's number 1 competition out in Southern California. And I'm one of those people where COVID was great for me.
Sure.
Because it switched my business model to focus on being more digital. Okay. And I was being obnoxious online and buying up every space on Google AdWords. And then our business started to just grow more in major cities. So I was going to go to LA, but I recently got engaged to a beautiful lady from Miami.
Congrats.
Appreciate you, man.
Congratulations.
And I just asked her, hey, well, you want to start this journey. And she said New York, and New York is like the big leagues for me. So that's how I ended up out there.
So for folks don't know, explain what a 1031 exchange is.
Yeah, anytime anybody sells real estate that they use for business or investment, they're going to have taxes. If they don't want to pay those taxes, they got to use a 1031 exchange. And in order to facilitate those, you got to use what's called a qualified intermediary. That's my company.
Okay. So if I had a house and it's paid off in full, I want to sell that house. Let's say I sell it in California, it'd be like $850,000.
Yeah.
So I'd have to pay capital gains for that. So then I contact you, say, hey, I don't want to pay this tax.
Yeah.
So what do I got to do next?
No, don't contact me, because if you sell your house, that's primary residence. That ain't me.
No, I'm saying I want to sell it.
I know, but to make a distinction, it's specifically for properties held for business or investment. So a lot of real estate agents get that confused. They're like, yo, I'm gonna sell. My client's selling their home. I'm like, all right, great. What do you want me to do about it?
Okay.
Like, call your CPA. I'm sure they can find a deduction, which there is a specific one. It's called a 121 random fact.
Okay.
But it's specifically commercial property. So not if you sold your house, and here's an easy example. Let's say you bought your house at like $100,000 10 years ago, but it's not your house. You don't live in there. Instead, you rent it out. You let your man rent it out.
Okay.
He's paying you rent and all that. And if 10 years elapse, if that house is $100,000, you bought it anywhere near here. Right now, you sell it, it's probably $1 million plus.
Right.
So let's just call it a straight million. All the real estate agents we know stalking you. They're like, yo, Nikhil, you need to sell this property. You can get all this money.
Right.
And you're like, yo, I only put $100,000 into this, and now I could get $1 million. Let's sell.
Right.
But the moment you sell, most people are unaware of what that triggers. It triggers state tax, federal tax, your depreciation, recapture tax, and your Medicare tax. Altogether, that's a blended average of roughly 30 to 33%. If you purchase that 100 and you sold it at 1 million, that profit is 900,000. 33% of that's like roughly looking at almost 300 grand that you got to pay in taxes alone. And remember, you only put down 100 grand. It just turned out great. So if you don't want to pay that psychotic tax, which most people don't, they have to come to me. As soon as they come to me, we restructure the whole deal, just give them a bunch of documents so they can send to the IRS like, hey, give me a pass.
Okay. So then I sell the property after I speak to you first. And then I take that money and I put it into another property?
Yeah. As soon as your name gets off title, we call that closing escrow. 2 timelines kick in if you don't want to pay the taxes. You have 45 days to identify your new property and 180 days to actually go and get that property. Okay. So in 45 days, you just got to give me a letter. Hey, Lance, here's the address. Here's the price. Here you go. And then in 180 days, you got to go and get that thing. And then once you do, no taxes.
So then I leverage that to buy a bigger property, invest more. And is there a limit? How many times can I do it?
Can be as big as you want. It's no limits. It's no limits. It can be as big as you want, man. And just look at it as simple like this. Like if you would have sold at $1 million and you got 900,000 in profits, 900 cash, here you go. Now you get to keep that 900 cash instead of at the end of the year, your CPA says, hey, I'm gonna need 300 of that 900 back. So you basically have more purchase power.
Sure.
You know, but for the 1031, you would only have 600,000. So you got to go and get what you can get for 600. But now you got 9. So here you go. Go nuts.
Which helps out a lot. You have a question?
Yeah. After you were designated this role, what kind of was like your drive, your ambition, your why to keep going?
Oh man, I mean, y'all hear the story? I'm just a regular old immigrant. I got nothing fancy for you. I mean, listen, I'm St. Lucian. All we know is just family and surviving. You know, you think about it. We left our home. Like, think about that statement just for everybody. You know, when you're young and then you leave home and then you go out in the big bad world and all this shit happens to you. Before, we were just staying home playing Legos. Right. So we left our island. You know, dude, I was skipping on the beach, listening to Bob Marley, eating mangoes. Then I got flown into Brooklyn, New York, and the crack epidemic with cold and angry human beings. So once I landed, in our family, it's just about like we gotta survive and we gotta protect ourselves. And by ourselves, we mean the family. So like it's just me, my mom, and my brother, and my baby sister, and that's our unit, and that's all that matters. So that's the driving force, because literally 2 years after starting Grove 1031, my mom, who was, funny enough, a registered nurse back in Connecticut, I called her one day, and I'm just crushing it. Like, yes, because, you know, the first year it was growth. It was like, is this thing gonna work? And the second, I'm crushing it, and I'm about to go and make a stupid purchase. Here we go. Like, I'm about to go and buy this. I called my mom to tell her about it, and she was like, yeah, I'm going. I was like, I can't talk right. She goes, Nancy, I can't talk right now. That's how she calls me. And then I'm like, why? She's like, because I got to go to my second job. I was like, all right. I hung up the phone like, what the fuck is my mom still working 2 jobs for? And then shortly after, I retired her. Like,
that's fire.
That's the only thing that moves me, family. I got no special nothing. Family, that's it. That's it.
She's still in Connecticut then?
My mom is chilling on the beach in St. Lucia, brother.
Oh, she's in St. Lucia now. Okay, cool.
I'm gonna retire my mom. I said, hey, mom, so you done? Where you want to go? I want to stay in the cold Northeast. You crazy?
Nah. Some people might. So she's in St. Lucia.
Yeah, not a St. Lucian, though.
Okay.
If you're born in an island, that's what I meant by that point, like, home. You know, that's our home. Like, that's where I was born. So when we immigrate from that, when immigrants leave their islands, when they come to America, let's work.
Right.
This is work. I am in the workspace. Let's go with the obstacles, the harshness, work. So when I retired her, it's like, yo, you can go home where it's warm.
Right.
President looks like us.
Right.
Nobody's fighting it, really. Like, we're just chilling.
Right.
People are smoking weed, eating food, and hanging out on the beach. Like, it's the epitome of a tropical island. So as soon as I retired her, got her crib down in St. Lucia and just told her, Mom, anytime you go to the ATM, you will have money.
That's good.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's good.
Yeah, man.
So then is that your goal one day to move back?
Hell no, boy, my brain moved too fast to stay on there. It's only 25 miles long. I'm a full-time capitalist, boy. I love America. Right. I love the work. I'm done chilling, done relaxing. You crazy? I'm built for this. Nah, man. I ain't. When I'm done, one, I don't think I can ever anticipate that. And two, I'm a pretty capitalist guy. Like, okay. I work, I grind, and I fucking love it, honestly.
Okay, so not for you.
Not for me, my friend. That's not for me.
Right. What are some of your with family, foundation? Some of those principles, that you like to share to some of our, listeners.
Oh, biggest one. Well, in our family specifically, like I can share principles, but with us, we just have certain things. Like the biggest one is survival. Like you gotta survive, because when we moved to this country, it literally was during the crack epidemic. And my mom worked at Panda Express and KFC. I'm like 14, and then my brother was in prison again from like 14 to 22. My brother was in prison. He was selling crack, shooting anybody that looked at him wrong, and he was a cowboy. So you just think, like, I'm a 14-year-old taking care of a 4-year-old. It's my baby sister. So when my mom would leave, she would be like, yo, she would look at me too, and like, yo, take care of her. And she would give you that look. Like, when you come from an island, I mean, I didn't know nothing about racism. Like, oh, I'm black. Oh, got it. Do I get a card? It's like, it's a lot of death in America. People love shooting, it's a lot of violence and all this stuff. And, my mom had to leave us to go to work 2 jobs. Like, I'm a super latchkey kid. So it's, in our family, our thing is survive at all costs. Like, take care of yourself and take care of your little sister. Like, survive. So I think that whole mentality, it pushed me to really know that it's all on me, because that's what I hear that as. And no matter what I did in my life, like, I had to own my company. I had to. I can't let another man hand me a check.
Right. I also heard that you say that you're a state boxing champion. So that winning spirit. Do you put like your gloves on? When you're in corporate America, sort of say.
Nah. What I took from boxing was you just move anything in your way, just remove it at all costs, painfully demolish it. Yeah, boxing, the pedigree from there is, it's a controlled sense of chaos, a controlled sense of violence, because, we live in a violent-ass world. People just don't, if it ain't physical, they don't get it. But, like, this is a violent, the capitalist culture is a violent one. It is, we will take everything from you by force, whether they deplete your account, whatever they do. So boxing just taught me how to be the aggressor. and not just some, you know, like there's merchants and then there's consumers. You know, consumers are taking what the merchants give them. I'm a merchant. Like I'm not going to be at the mercy of any force. I'm going to be forceful. So that's what I got from that.
Yeah, that's a very good principle.
So then, you know, you decide to start your own business. How did you know what to do? Is it because of the previous company that you worked for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you knew how to like set up the actual company, how to price things, all that stuff from the previous.
I mean,
company?
pricing, yeah. Setup, nah. I just knew how to execute the actual service. They didn't teach me shit.
Right.
Yeah, I got all that from law school. My biggest focus in law school was, you know, property and tax law. But, you know, my secondaries was business and association. So in terms of structure, I had that. Like, dude, this was a fact pattern on a test once. Like, I got this down pat. So start building my business. Nah, hell no. They didn't teach me that. They did just kind of teach me, like, hey, this is what people are looking to hear. This is what information, you know, grabs people. But in terms of business, like, nah, that wasn't my past company. That was me.
So then, let's kind of look at that. So you say, hey, I'm gonna start my own company.
Yeah.
How do I structure it? How many employees did you have at first? Just you?
Just me.
Okay.
Everybody. Well, boy, I started off of savings. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have hundreds of thousands of employee people. You crazy? I was door to door on my feet. Like, nah. When I first had the idea, it was just like, all right. First, what type of entity? And for tax purposes, I went with S corporation. You know, that gives me full protection. But C corporation, sometimes you can get double taxation, and I knew I didn't want to just pull money out, get taxed on that, get taxed when I get the money. So I went with the S type. And then in terms of just structure, it was just real simple. It was just me, and it was just setting goals of, okay, how many deals do I need to get to keep the lights on? Then it was like, how many deals do I need to get to profit?
Sure.
You know, and simple like that.
So then, now that you've been doing this for how many years now? 5 years?
5.
So 5 years?
That's crazy.
So you feel like you mastered it?
Yeah, nah, never that.
Or you say you teach it other people to do it?
Here's the thing. It's nah, I wouldn't say I've mastered it. I'm a beast. I'll tell you this. Like I give myself full faith and credit. Sure. I know. Another thing I got from boxing was being overwhelming and obsessive. Sure. Like boxing got all of my. I had a lot of energy and a lot of things I wanted to get out, and boxing helped me kind of, you know, focus that. It's the same thing with business. I've learned that, you know, like everybody wants to make a statement. Everybody wants to leave a mark. Right. I looked at having my own business as, you know, my statement, my mark, and you know, I'm a loud boy. Right. So I learned those boxing overwhelming and being forceful. Like I wasn't gonna. I don't hope something happens. Like I exhaust all options and I'm everywhere. And yeah, that whole mentality probably, you know, made me extremely successful in the space of just growing quickly. But now I'll never say I mastered business, and I look at it like a lifelong lesson. That's why I can't say I mastered it. I look at it as a life. In terms of 1031 exchange, I know that thing through and through. Okay. You know, but yeah, business to me is like a lifelong lesson. So not master. I'm proud of where I'm at with it.
What would you say like your ideal client would be? So for our audience, people to try to reach out to you to use your services.
Oh, ideal client is anybody that has investment property. Okay. Like if you own any piece of real estate and you either run your business out of there or you let somebody stay in there and they give you money for it, that's you using real estate for business or investment, which is commercial. Okay. And, you know, they should just all know if they sell that they're going to have taxes. And if they don't want those taxes, then they can come to me.
And then what's the best way for them to reach out to you on your website?
Oh, that is easy. You can go to the website at Grow 1031, or you can call me at 619-991-1031. You saw what I did there.
I like that.
That was beautiful. You know, this is knowledge to currency, and I'm inspired. I want to learn more, man. What type of watch is that right there?
Ralph.
Share
Christian.
with me.
Ralph Christian.
Okay, but what's the is it Swiss? Is it Swiss made? What
Yeah,
you know?
I honestly, this is from this was like a very big gift from a client.
Right. That's very yeah.
So I'm not even gonna sound like I be knowing. It's a client.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a client. It was he bought at $2 million and
Right.
he sold for 19. So
Bless
I
us.
saved him like $6 million around there,
So
and
you like, "I'll give you
charged
the
him. But
watch."
he took me out to dinner and he was like, "Hey man." On top of that, I was like,
Very nice.
"Yo,
Hey,
thank you."
Right.
be mad.
Absolutely.
It's a gift.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Gift.
Being privy have its privileges.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that. So just being aware of your surroundings, and even aware of the industry and how you save that client some money.
Yeah.
You know, it came back to you. It looked like tenfold. You know, salute.
Yeah, man. I try to do a good job for our clients. They, the one thing I've learned is this. Like to me, this is like, why doesn't everybody know this? But that's how a lot of important things are.
Yeah.
And when clients come to me, no matter how sophisticated they are, like this space sometimes is so foreign to them. So it's a big deal for me to be able to be like, hey, man, I know you were freaking out,
Right.
but don't worry about
Right.
it. You're good. So yeah, I take a lot of pleasure from what we do.
What's the biggest savings you help save someone?
18 million.
Man.
Yeah, it was insane. It actually scared me a bit because I was like, yo, you cannot mess this up. I was like, 'cause it's just the number. Yeah, I helped a client save 18 million on an institutional grade property out in Texas.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just shocking to me because like this money comes like in order to do this, part of our job is they can't touch the money. So as soon as they close, we receive it. So dead serious, man. First time I started my job and I got my first deal, like, because it's in the company's name, but I control it. Man,
Right.
when I saw $1 million hit a bank account, I was like,
Right.
is somebody gonna come supervise this? You know, it just freaked me out. And yeah, for that client, to see, because that was just his taxes.
Right.
So the sale was about, man, it was like $100 million plus.
Wow.
And to see that come into the bank account and just sit there. And by the way, I got a relationship with banks where the banks pay me interest because I house so much money and they can use the money I house to go and do their nonsense. Yeah, to see that money sit there in the bank just collecting interest, I was like, dang.
Nice, very nice.
How'd you work that out with the banks?
That's just the nature. So think about it. Banks make their money off of money. So if a bank, what is the rule? That bank has to have only about 10% on deposit of what they loan out.
$10
so that 10% is about all their deposits.
Right.
The average person keeps about $3,000 in their regular checking account.
Right.
If you look at my company as an average person, on average, we keep about 116 million.
Sure.
So they want us to hold that, like where we place our money. They want us to place it with them so they can do what they do.
Okay.
And they call me every day, and I just like, yeah, sure. How much you gonna pay me?
Right.
And typical banks will follow the federal Fed chair interest rate. So when everybody's bitching like, oh, dang it, the interest rates are going up, I'm like, yes.
So you don't mind that at all.
Yeah, those 2 recent Fed hikes, I basically doubled income. Every time the Fed hike, like doubled our income.
And then for you, because these people are trying to find a tax shelter, they definitely need you, especially when inflation and things go up, correct?
Yeah, no, not they definitely need me when things go up with inflation because I don't know much about inflation, but I know when the interest rates go up, it's harder for people to get loans. And if it's harder for people to get loans, then there's less buying. If there's less buying, then there's less selling. If there's less selling, there's less taxable consequences.
Okay.
So it could have an impact on me if this market continues to tank.
Well, I mean, maybe.
What? Maybe what? It tank or will it have an effect on me?
Well, the people with the money, they're going to look at that opportunity to start buying again, so then they're going to come to you.
Nah.
You don't think so?
No, I'll tell you this. Like, my business model, I make sure we grow hands down.
Right.
In terms of the impact, the federal chair raising interest rate has actually slowed down the market. So there's less people buying and selling. But for me, that's I'm like, all right, that's great. Like I got my own goals, and I'm just gonna hit them one way or another.
Yeah, because what I hear, a lot of people that have money are just waiting until the market changes a little bit before they spend. They're like, I feel that these properties are a little bit overpriced.
Yeah.
So I want to see if they drop, and then I'm gonna. So I think you're gonna. If anything corrects or goes down, I think you're gonna get more business.
Oh man, if this corrects itself, I think things will uptick.
He just started smiling. He's like, yes.
If it corrects itself.
Economy tank, please.
No, man. Listen, I just be like, I mean, I told y'all stop messing around out there. This thing's getting worse.
No matter what happened, we gonna survive.
That's it. Facts. I don't care what the economy does. Right. This is what I said I have to do this, that. Like, I'm going to do it regardless. You know, even like with COVID, the way I used to make my money was I used to host monthly workshops. I'd invite like 80 people in a room. I would know about 5 to 10% of those people converted into clients monthly, literally. It was just dialed in. COVID hit, and then, the government said I can't put more than 5 people in the room. Dude, that was...
so what'd you do to fix it?
Well, first I freaked out, I feel like people don't admit that, I had that, oh my God, like dead serious. I was like, how do I pay my team if this continues? And I freaked out. But what I did was I was inviting 80 people would show up. I was inviting physical people. And what I did was switch it to webinars. Okay. But what really upticked the business was I was trying to physically invite people to, a spot to learn about 1031 exchanges. My database has about 23,000 people in it. Sure. A large portion of those people do not live in San Diego. They aren't physically even in the state. Right. So when I switched to the webinars and I got really obnoxious about it, 80 physical people turned into 405 people showing up for these webinars. And
so then it actually benefited you more.
Quite
less energy.
Yeah, it's definitely picked up.
That's what it is. Like a lot of people, they come up with a reason. The first barrier hits them, and then they stop whatever they're working on. Yeah, and then you ask them, and they're like, "Hey, what happened to that?" They're like, "Oh, COVID." And you said, "Well, COVID's here, but I gotta figure this out."
Have to, man. Gotta survive. What am I do? Let my business die?
Right.
Yeah. Some people do. So thank God you didn't, man. That's a good thing.
I can't. I don't know. I can't do stuff like that. That has my name on it.
Yeah.
I can't do that, man. It is. I don't care what gets in front of me. Like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
So what's the goal of growth now?
Oh, simple, man. Open a second office, replicate what we did here in California. We're leaning a little bit more towards just more education, trying to be a little more creative in the video content, because I got my devoted group of clients, and so many of them are just they're sophisticated investors. But the fact is, everybody, little people got investment property, and sometimes they when they try to figure things out, it can seem complicated. So just put up more information to make things simpler for people. Like, hey, man, this 1031 isn't for rich people. It's for people who know what 1031 exists. The end,
Nah, I've gone to a couple of your lectures, and what I like about you is you make everything seem pretty straightforward.
Can I get you to Yelp that, sir?
Yeah. I'm not paid for this, but no, you do definitely explain it where the average person could understand it.
I appreciate
and get the point across, because it's important. Because my aunt and uncle, they've had properties that they sold that didn't do a 1031 exchange. Yeah. And those are taxable events that happen, and it did it twice. Yeah. So, or 3 times actually. Did it 3 times and never did them because they didn't know.
Yeah. Once a week, I get a call from a client that's like, "Hey, because in order to get it done right, like as soon as you open escrow and you're getting started with all this thing, you got to give us a call." But sometimes agents tell their clients too late, and people who didn't know after they close and they sold, I got to give them the bad news. Like, I'm sorry, man, you're going to have to pay your taxes. And the last time I made that call, it was like $700,000. It's like, bro, you should call your agent. Like, he should have educated you.
Yeah, you didn't get a watch for that one.
I did not. I did not.
Well, Lance, we're almost at the end of time. Is there any announcements you like to make?
I got engaged, everybody.
Shout out to Lance and what's your
Monique
and Monique on your engagement, man. I'm happy for you.
I appreciate you.
That's
girl.
right, big love, big love. That's right.
Yeah, get out the streets, bro.
I know it's over. The game's over, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to all my ladies out there. It is over. That's a good outro.
All right, well, thanks so much for being on the show. All the way from Brooklyn, New York, Lance Grove, Senator Porter, Roosevelt Williams III, and it's a wrap. Now let's take currency.
Blessings.